that there has become this tension where he ends up overextending himself, that basically aides feel that he does not know his own physical limitations and that he tries to do too much. And, that has this adverse effect where he ends up wearing himself out. So even though he is doing more events, he actually presents as more tired, which is then how you get these poll numbers that show that over 70% of voters have serious concerns about him doing a second term.
You also write about the First Lady's role in all of this. Jill Biden, you talk about how she and her team are so deeply involved in the president's day-to-day schedule. And you quote her saying, "Joe's working too hard," that she would tell his then chief of staff, Steve Ricchetti. Joe Biden recalled in his memoir, "Promise me, Dad," quote, "he's exhausted, he's not sleeping, it's going to kill him." You raise that now. Why?
Well, there are a few different things. So Jill Biden has an extraordinary amount of influence over the president's schedule. Now, it's usual for first ladies to keep an eye on the schedule. It is not so normal for a first lady to be crafting the presidential schedule. And part of it is because her role is really that of a protector. And she recognizes that the president, going back to that moment in that memoir, can overextend himself. Now, when Joe Biden wrote that, he was in his early 70s. Now, at this point, she is very involved in making sure that he gets enough rest. She's also been pushing him on his diet, trying to get him to eat more fish and salmon and a little bit less junk food. She is very much in this role of making sure that the president, who is the oldest president ever, is staying healthy, getting enough rest, and being able to present as vigorous going into this reelection.
Alex, it was always fascinating to me in talking to folks in the West Wing that it was the president, to your point, as your reporting shows here, who was pushing to add more events, was agreeing to events on the phone when he was talking to lawmakers without his team actually knowing, was having the late night phone calls with the old friends, Chris Dodd, John Kerry, checking in. And it was the First Lady and his team that were trying to kind of rein things back in. I guess the question is, it runs counter to the assumption I think you see sometimes from people that he's not with it. He doesn't have vigor. He isn't really kind of out there in a way that doesn't make him look 81 years old. And how does that translate, if that makes any sense? If you look at this New York Times reporting that the new Siena poll that just came out showing that he's actually losing young voters, and you make the point that this contributes into everything. Donald Trump winning young voters, which is a death knell for a Biden campaign if that turns into reality. What does the team say about that?
Well, this is exactly why there is a push to sort of rein him in and get him to do a little bit less and make sure that he gets enough rest so that he can present as more vigorous. Because, some of it is not just the number of events you do. It's how you look when you do the few events that you do. And that's sort of where this tension is going. I mean, to your point, I think everyone that I've talked to on the team is really struck and think basically what Biden is doing at his age is extraordinary. I think the tension comes is that he does not understand that he cannot do as much as he did 10, 15 years ago. And is there a way that they can sort of rein him in order to ensure that he is the top of his game at all times? And that's sort of where this delicate dance goes into place, where you basically need to tell the president of the United States, no, you probably shouldn't do that event.
Yeah, that's a job that's good for the First Lady, probably not staff, sometimes based on my understanding of these. It's really interesting reporting, really nuanced reporting as well. Alex Thompson, thanks so much.